Good morning. We're here in Guanacaste, Costa Rica. I want to tell you a little tiny bit about Rythmia. Rythmia is a life advancement center located in Costa Rica that uses a multitude of healing modalities to bring about a change that is not normal in someone's life. What do I mean by that? Well, 95.12% of the people that have been here, and there's been 7,500, have reported a life-changing miracle during their stay, a real miracle. And 97.55% of those people say that 6 months later, this miracle is still working in their life. Why is this? Is it something because of us? No. We have metaphysical workshops and things of that nature, but it is the plant medicine combined with the breath work, combined with the yoga, combined with the metaphysical teachings, combined with amazing guest speakers that makes this week a week of full immersion. And we go so deep that this change actually stays. We're not a religion. There is no God here. We don't have people that speak to God and then speak to you. You go directly to the source. We cut out the middleman, as they say. So, what is our theory? I'm going to show you. What we believe happens to people is that sometime between when they're conceived and about 6 years old, they have a soul split, meaning that something happens in their life that makes them actually leave their soul and create this new self. And it's still within their aura. But the rest of their life, something's not right, and they're trying to merge these back together on their own, or trying to mourn the split. How do they do that? They fill it up with alcohol, sex, drugs, coffee, kids, work, money, all kinds of things, and there is no way that they can get enough of this to fill the hole. It just doesn't happen. So what happens under plant medicine is, in this environment of love, when you're drinking the medicine and you've been prepared for what's going to happen next, all of a sudden, because there's so much love, a merger can happen. And this merger, and it happens 95.12% of the time, this merger takes place as a result of three things. Number one, you first see who you become. Number two, you merge back with your soul, and that is a real visual, actually happening experience where you merge back with your soul. And then finally, you heal your heart. The medicine comes in and heals your heart, or gives you a new heart. And it's just an amazing thing. Is life different after this? Yes, it is. Because as you vibrate differently, you affect everything around you. Do all your problems go away? No, they do not. As a matter of fact, sometimes we're presented with a whole new and different type of problems. The difference is how we are able to respond to them. And this is the real beauty of life. And I have to tell you something. I wish everybody the ability to walk through life merged for a period of time, so they can see what a gift this existence is. And it really is. But we're so caught up in a bunch of other stuff that starts with us pointing to other people or other situations as our problem. And we get lost in this track of looking at life this way. And at the end of the day, we miss the whole thing. So I want to talk to you a little bit about predictions, then about what this is about is lessons from the medicine, meaning things that I've learned through my journeys that have been reflected in real life. But first, I want to talk to you about some predictions. In the beginning of this pandemic in March, we set a 17% infection rate and a 0.26 to 0.56% death rate. And that is actually what's come to play. Months and months and months later, when we first said that, people were thinking that it was 10%. They were thinking that the death rate was 10%. We also predicted the end of new deaths, the end of this, the rolling over in October, November, and it is here, meaning that the death rate has rolled over. So on new infections, it's about 1%, which is probably 0.2% in reality. And how does that relate to us in real math? It's about 2 out of 1,000 people. Now, we believe, and I'm not taking anything away from the virus because the virus is real. I wear my mask in public because it makes other people feel better. And my whole goal is to try to put people at ease, right? So I'm not taking anything away from that. We also predicted that as soon as this is over, that it will be like the roaring 20s again. And people are going to forget, a lot of people are going to forget what they learned during this pandemic. And this pandemic was a lot like a medicine journey, a very, very much lot like a medicine journey, and get to that in a second. Yeah, so we believe sometime right after the elections that they're going to call the end of this pandemic. By the way, we are going to be open and servicing new people in November. That's for people who have booked in the past. November and December, we're taking new reservations for January, and I would love to see you here. And I'm going to talk about a couple of other things for the moment, yeah? So, lessons from the medicine. I want to give a shout out to my friend Maiku, who's just an amazing, amazing lady, and she lost the love of her life, Ingela, about 7-8 months ago, and she spent the last 3 months with me, and it's been such a joy to watch her go through this process of healing and reconnecting with herself, and she's such a beautiful soul, and you'll get to meet her when you come to Rythmia, and she's responsible for my thoughts today because she was talking to me about Ingela, and she was saying how Ingela used to go outside and watch the ants. And that's something I do, and I thought, I'm the only guy crazy enough to fucking go outside and really watch the ants. I watch them, I see where they're coming from, where they're going to, what they're working on. I have this whole thing that I don't know, I just observe them. And the thing is, they came to me in a journey, and I'm gonna get to that in a minute about what that is. And I just want to say one thing. In Costa Rica, if you think, oh, I just stepped on an ant and it's no big deal, I want you to understand some of them live 15 years. So you could be cutting a real life in half or stopping it from starting in the first place. So watch where you step. What am I talking about the ants? Why am I bringing up the ants? Well, the medicine came to me and she showed one of our greatest blessings and our greatest curse is free will. Because in free will, we actually engage the ego to question many things. Now the ants live a simpler life, and they get far more done than we could ever get because there's much less conflict in an ant community than there is in our own lives, right? So what did it show? When the mother came to me and she started talking to me about the ants and talking to me about free will, one of the things that she said is that once we are merged, we are able to do things completely. And what does that mean? That means if we're in a relationship, we are able to love someone completely without having plan Bs, plan Cs, plan Ds. And in that moment of high risk, high reward thing, we get to this thing you might call flow or bliss or something like that. I call it happiness or contentment. And it happens in that moment. Now, in plant medicine, when after you merge, you are able to do it, and you think, wow, what is so different about my life? Well, the difference is this. I have one job that I'm paying complete attention to. I'm not working somewhere thinking about working somewhere else. I'm not in a vocation where I'm thinking about another vocation. I'm actually doing one thing at a time and doing it with mastery. It is beautiful. So what does that even mean? How simple does it get? It gets as simple as eating a meal, that tasting every little part of it and being just involved in that meal. And when this happens to us, after we've been between two FM stations our whole life, and we hit this stereo, and we are able to focus completely on one thing at a time, everything seems more enjoyable. And I mean everything. And what do I mean by that? Well, most people I know that are in relationship are constantly, especially kids, texting other people about possibilities or wondering what would it be like to be with that person, or maybe I'm with the wrong person, and da 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 da. And in that moment, it comes into focus. That, oh my God, I am in this one love and I'm feeling this one thing, and it's high risk and it's full on, and I know that I'm going to lose it one day forever, but I am just in this moment. With jobs and vocations, I got to tell you what, I was taught in business to keep all my options open, always, to the last. He who keeps his options open to the latest part of the game has the highest chance of winning. That whole theory has gone out the window the moment that I did plant medicine. And instead of thinking about all these other opportunities, only one thing came into my heart. And in that thing, in that moment, in that joy, came Rythmia. And since that time, it's only been one thing. And I have to tell you, every business I've ever owned, I've always been thinking about doing other businesses. But this is the only thing that I think about. And it creates such joy for me, such high risk too, because like coronavirus nearly killed us, right? If it wasn't for some angels I have around me, we'd be dead. But the focus has been here, and the realness of it, and the beauty of it. And when you get here, you will see that we're singularly focused on you, because the medicine gives us this chance. Now, does the medicine take care of everything else like this? Well, it kind of works and it kind of doesn't. I want to show you what I mean. In other words, if I come and do the medicine, I get merged and I'm in the wrong relationship, what happens is my vibration goes up, and this other vibration has two choices. It either vibrates the same way or goes away. So a lot of times after people do the medicine, there's all of this change in their lives. So much change. I mean, change of jobs and change of this and change of this, and even change of attitude, change of relationships with our parents, with our children, with our neighborhood, with our community, with our church, if we're religious people. All of this change ensues. And because we are now in one thing, wanting to be able to focus on one thing, not many things, not this. You'll see a lot of people, because it's all energetic, you see a lot of people with multiple houses sell houses and actually simplify their lives, because the joy is in the simplicity. And here's the greatest thing. When this happens, and when we can devote all of ourselves to one people at a time, when we can do this, when we devote, our joy doesn't come from the product of it. It becomes from the act of it. I want you to understand that. The joy of Rythmia, for me, is not that we created this place. It's not. It's the act of involvement and being involved in it. It's a different thing. So in other words, my business, I'm not looking as the business is the product. The product is my commitment and focus singularly to the business and the people who visit the business. That's the joy. The relationship isn't, or the joy in the relationship isn't creating this relationship that's going to give fruit. It's not. It's the act of singular focus and love into the relationship. It sounds crazy, but it's the truth. It's not the money that the business will one day produce. It doesn't. After medicine, you see money as energy, and it has a whole different meaning. But it's the joy of the people. It's the joy of the community. It's the joy of this. The beautiful part about your job, no matter how simple it is, if it's your job and you love it, is the act of doing it, not what it produces. So if you are in a job after plant medicine, that job is not your vocation. If you're doing it just for the money, that's going to change. And you're able to follow your heart. And I really mean this, because what kept you from following your heart before was this one had one idea and this one had another idea. This may have been your heart and this may have been your brain, and all of a sudden they're together. And if you want to talk about a feeling of coolness, a feeling of joy, I have to tell you what, my first couple of years post-merger were just, I would be sitting there, because the contrast is so recent, I would be sitting there and I would think to myself, wow, I'm 40, or what would I be, 52 years old at the time, right? Or 51 years old. I can't believe I lived my past life like this. I can't believe how much peace there is in this. I can't believe how much contentment there is in this. And it's something before that I wouldn't have paid any attention to. Like the moments of looking out here and seeing the trees and seeing all this stuff, to me, bring me such great joy. And before, I wouldn't even have seen them. I was on the way to the bar to get a girl, to get cocaine, to do crazy shit. And I missed the whole thing. And that's why I want you to come to Rythmia, because I don't want you to miss it. It's too good. It is too good. Yeah. So another thing, like, I don't know if people say, well, I've never done it. I've never had the merger. Explain to me what it feels like. And I'm going to tell you what when I did this and I got into one vibration, what it felt like to me. The first time I ever jumped out of a plane, my brain stopped. And I only thought about one thing. Hope this fucking thing opens. That was my whole thought. I wasn't thinking about what I'm having for lunch, the relationship that was failing, or this or that. I was thinking like, holy shit, this fucking better work. And all of a sudden, all of the ancillary noise went away. And there was just this moment of ding, of wow. And a lot of people experience it, I'm told, in surfing or in skiing, and where they get in this thing. Sometimes runners go through this pain point and they hit this thing. Well, I'm going to tell you what. What happens is, as the years click on after the merger, you don't notice when it's there. You notice when it's not. That's a beautiful thing. You notice when it's not. So the norm becomes being in this one feeling, this one love, this one thought at a time, this one focus, this one relationship, this one company, this one job, this one family, this one community, in that moment. And when it's not there, something is wrong. How does it not be there after plant medicine? You can knock it out. You could like drink too much alcohol, or you could have a family disruption that will take it out of that vibration for a while. But just like in sports, muscle memory takes back over and brings it back in. Sometimes a ceremony will bring it back in. Sometimes a breath work will bring it back in. Sometimes a meditation will bring it back in, but it's yours and you remember it. You remember this peace. You remember this consistency. You remember this love. And what ends up happening, a lot of us that are doing things that we love, a lot of the fear associated with my way of making a living goes away. Because the target is no longer the product. The target is the act. So a lot of us, when we're doing what we love and we're so worried that we're not going to make ends meet and this isn't going to work and isn't because it's because of our focus. We're focusing on the end instead of focusing on the joy of doing it, because we think the monetary, the money is going to be what makes us happy, when the whole time it's doing the thing in that moment without worrying about that. So, and a lot of people talk about this stuff too. The universe provides for your singularity of focus. The universe, the Catholic nuns used to say this to me, and I never got it. She said, Gerry, God helps he who helps himself, all the time. And it sounds like a stupid saying, but I'm going to tell you it is so true. That, what do I mean by that? That by enjoying the gift that we were given to have this singular focus, to be involved with our hearts and things, and for that vibration to prevail, the other things take care of themselves. It's when we take ourselves out of that thing and put ourselves into fear that this split is there, and that it keeps going different ways. So I want you to know that. I really, really, really want you to know it, because these are the simple things that the teachings of this medicine, this beautiful, beautiful medicine, happen, and they happen to us, and then they produce these lives that are different than they were before. And when I tell you different, I mean fully different. And I'm a real good example. I was a drunk, a drug addict, an alcoholic a violent person. I hated everything. I was a terrible father, a terrible husband, I was just a bad guy. I was really a bad guy. And it turned me into a much, 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 much nicer human being. And I want to tell you what, I have integrity. And that, when people say that about themselves, they usually don't. But I used to not have it, and I know the difference. And I would trust me with just about anything. And that is a gift of that. Now, people say, well, did the plant medicine get you that, or were you ready to have it before the plant medicine? I'm going to tell you what, I don't think that there's a person alive right now who, if given the opportunity, would not choose joy, would not choose contentment, would not choose honesty, would not choose love, would not choose well-being, would not choose health. I don't think there's a person alive. So yeah, I was ready, and so is everybody else. Who does not want these things? Everybody wants the same things. And I want you to have these things. And I want everybody, I wish everybody could experience this. I say this all the time and people don't understand it. I wish people would have the opportunity to go make $100 million and to see just how that is not the answer for any happiness. Everybody should be rich once so that they're aware that it's not the answer. That's why. And if you look at people who are rich and just want to get richer and richer and richer and richer and richer, richer without living life, it's because they're trying to fill this hole. And I have to tell you, when I was young, I thought the same thing. I thought 1 million would do it. Then I thought 5 million would do it. Then I thought 10 million would do it. Then I thought 20 million, yada, 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 and nothing did. Nothing did. Nothing gives me 1/10 of the joy that I have by being in this environment and being a part of something like this. Nothing. And I want to tell you something else too. A lot of people do this medicine, they go home and they think all of a sudden they're going to have to be a saint, or that the medicine wants them to be this. The medicine wants you to be your most true, authentic self, because like an ant farm, there are many, many, many different jobs within the farm. So like, I was always afraid of my masculinity after the medicine, and it's only recently that I've allowed it, that I've loved it. And by loving it, I've become more feminine, which is crazy, but I'm going to tell you it's the truth. So those people, what I'm going to say is, once you're merged, who you are at that moment, you've actually come into the position of the job you were designed to fill in this community. So in this community, we need medicine people, music people, doctors, nurses, lawyers, stockbrokers, moms, dads, aunts, uncles. We need them all. Painters, photographers, furniture makers, everybody, every vocation and every personality type is needed. There are leaders, there are team members, there are all these things. Don't deviate from that. That's what you came. If you feel that post-merger, that is exactly what you're supposed to rock. That's your birthday suit, And we want you to use it, yeah, because that's what's going to bring around this feeling of mastery, this feeling of belonging, and this feeling of oneness with everything that's around you. And that's I have two friends that are from Australia, Simon and Tina, and Simon always tells me that is the ding. And you know what that is? Like when you hit the wine glass, the perfect wine glass that goes ding, that is the ding. That is the unity. That is the feeling. That is the whole thing we're all shooting for all the time. And does it always look like happiness from the outside? No. Sometimes it looks crazy, because it is, Because we're all in this farm and we're all doing these different things, but we're working together to create. And I'm going to tell you this, and I'm going to tell you this, and I'm right about it. We're living in the least violent times of the last 5,000 years. It's working. The light is invading. Plant medicine is happening. Spiritualism has happened. Yoga has occurred. Meditation is a common thing. It's happening, and you're part of it. What I would like to see, I would like to see much more people in the ding, in the zone of being able to experience contentment. There's so much pain, there's so much sorrow, there's so much sadness, and there's so much struggle. And to be able to bring relief to that, and not only relief to that, but the opposite feeling of it from the same circumstances that change as your vibration gets higher. It's the most beautiful thing in the world, and I'm so lucky to be here, and I hope one day to see you here. I want you to feel this, because the world is in fact changing, and this coronavirus helped a ton. And you're not going to see the real result of this for 6 to 8 months down the road, but you're going to see that it did help. It is a time of great renewal. It is a time of people waking up. I'm going to tell you what, when you're in a situation where you may die or you may lose a loved one, in that moment you start to look for deeper things. And that is what the gift of coronavirus is. It's the gift of making us look for deeper things. So look, I'm so glad you had the opportunity to just hear my heart today. And I want you to share this because more people need to know this. And there needs to be more places like this place that is owned by all of us. I say this all the time. This is not Gerry's Rythmia. This is everybody's Rythmia. This is the medicine for the people. This is it. Please come here. Please see us. And until next week, may God love you, keep you, and hold you. Please come experience this thing with us. God bless you. God keep you. And we'll see you next week. Adios.